It was a typical Thursday evening in Nairobi, long queues of cars, heavy traffic, and the exhaustion that comes with the end of a very busy day. To save time, I decided I will not sit in traffic. I will take a Bolt bike so that I can get home fast. The rider was just across the road, so within a minute we were weaving slowly through the vehicles. On reaching the roundabout connecting Valley Road to Nairobi Hospital to Daystar University, thereabout, traffic was almost at a standstill. The rider suggested that we jump the pavement and go to the other side of the road so that we can bypass traffic. Something in me resisted, and I told him I'm not in such a hurry that we can use the wrong side of the road. And then he laughed it off and said that when someone is fearful, something bad happens. And because I am too afraid, then we'll just stay on the side of the road. A few moments later, he saw another chance, a narrow space between two huge construction lorries. One was carrying sand and the other one was carrying cement. And before I could process what was happening, he sped between them. And in the next moment, my life flashed before my eyes. 1 second we were moving, the next we were under the yellow lorry, which was on the left side. Traffic was slow, but the truck was still moving, dragging us forward. I remember the rider was shouting and screaming, and it drew the attention of other motorists who signaled the truck driver to stop. And suddenly I find myself seated at the roadside, shocked and trying to understand what had just happened. The lorry was on top of the bike. The back tires were on top of the bike, exactly where I had seated. Some people are trying to remove the rider from underneath, and others were asking, wasn't there a passenger? They were trying to figure out where the passenger, which was me, had gone to. A police officer comes to where I was seated and noticed that my trouser was torn from the knee going downwards and I was bleeding on my knee. And then she asks me if I was the passenger on that bike. And then I say yes. And then she calls her other colleagues and then she tells them in Swahili, if you have never seen a miracle, come and see God with their own eyes. The rider was taken to hospital, and as I sat down there, a lot of people had surrounded me. There was a lot of commotion, and some kept on telling me to hold my bag tightly so that my phone is not stolen. I sat there and everything felt so unreal. I couldn't just comprehend how the side of the bike I was on was completely crushed, yet I was here seated alive, and I didn't even know how I got from the road to the pavement. On reaching Nairobi Women's, they go and bring me a wheelchair to wheel me to the emergency place, and I tell them I'm okay, I can walk, I'm not using a wheelchair. So I push myself and we get into the doctor's office. The ladies that I were with had already come. So when I get to the doctor's office, when they're doing examination, I tell them that I'm feeling pain in my back, my leg was bleeding, my trouser was torn. So they do examinations on my back and they realize I have tire prints on my back and on the left side of the leg. So I went for a full body scan. We waited for the results. They came, no broken bones, nothing broken, nothing missing. And it was only the cut that I had on my knee and the pain that I had on my back, but it wasn't broken. I cried so much, not from pain, but from overwhelming realization. By all logic, I shouldn't have survived that accident. The side I had sat on was completely crushed by a moving truck. People kept asking me, including the doctors, how I found myself on the side of the road, how a lorry went over me and I still came out walking. I only had one response: God carried me. That day, the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego stopped being just a Bible story to me. When they were thrown into the fire, a fourth man appeared. And when they came out, not even the smell of smoke was on them. That evening, I walked through my own fire, and the fourth man was there. Like the psalmist says, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. That day, God proved his presence in a way I could never ignore. But my testimony will be incomplete if I don't speak about the gift of community. That day at the hospital, the ladies that I fellowshipped with, they all came. Immediately they heard about the news. All my bills were catered for, the bills for the scans and everything that was needed at the hospital. I later needed to go for physiotherapy for my back. All those bills were catered for. My church family kept on sending encouraging messages, calling me. They visited me throughout the week, brought in a lot of gifts, a lot of presents. The mental trauma that came from the accident was so easy to navigate and to heal from because I was surrounded by love from my community. That is when I truly understood why scripture tells us not to forsake the gathering of believers. God knew we would need each other. Through this experience, I learned that life is fragile, but God is real. Sometimes we don't even know the dangers that we signal past, but God's mercy carries us. Today, I still stand grateful, carrying scars, yes, but still carrying proof that God still saves, God still protects, and He sends people to our lives whenever we need them. And every time I remember that day, my heart whispers one thing: only God.